Hey, what's going on, guys? It's another episode of Tales from the Block. It's a weekly series here on the domain where I tell you guys about my time as a Blockbuster video manager, employee, whatever. Last week was the first episode, and I talked about, how I kind of got started working at Blockbuster, my thoughts on working there. So I decided to bring a very special guest with me on this episode. This is my wife, Raven.
Yo.
And she's going to, chime in or ask me some things about my time working at Blockbuster Video. I'm sure you remember going to the video store.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Did you go to
We did.
Did you go to Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Did you go to any other video stores too?
Yeah, I went to, oh my god, do you remember Video Update?
Yeah, I talked about Video Update.
I don't know if that was a local one to Indy or if it was national.
I think Video Update was, I know Movie Gallery was a national
Never
chain.
went there. Family Video.
Absolutely.
That was another
Family
one.
Video was actually one of the last major chains until they went out of business, and then we just don't have it anymore.
They actually still had one down here where we live until the pandemic, till like 2020.
Yeah, something like that. Down here in Southern Indiana, we're in Southern Indiana, so they still have one. Yeah, we talked about how there's no more video rental. You can't go into a brick and mortar store. It was pretty crazy going in and being able to browse. What were some things you liked about going to a video store versus doing like Netflix and stuff now?
So we didn't go to Blockbuster as much because there was literally a Video Update or Family Video, something like that, right around the corner from us. So we went there more often.
Yeah.
But they had 50-cent video nights.
Oh,
so
nice.
We could go there and
was this at Blockbuster or was that another retail?
Another one,
local chain.
So just in general going to a video store. They had 50-cent rental nights, and so you could rent them non-new releases. You could rent for a week.
Yeah,
I know it was like that for Blockbuster.
Yeah,
it was 4 days.
Yeah, we had a rewards. We had Blockbuster rewards, and that was our card that we had to try to upsell to everybody.
Yeah,
like how GameStop has the Power Up membership, and there's always that add-on. Retail you got to do add-ons, right? Yeah. And I know you've worked retail. I've worked retail for a long time, so you got to do upsell. Upsell is a big thing. So the Blockbuster rewards program was $9.99 a month. I can't believe I still remember all this stuff. It's crazy to me. But the Blockbuster rewards program was $9.99 a month. Mm-hmm. You got 5 free rentals a week or something like that from the family, from the floor, or it was rent one, get one, or something like that. But I think every 5th rental you got your 6th one free. Yeah. And it was $10. I mean, that's still a great deal.
So, I think Video Update closed later on or something, and so we actually did do the Blockbuster deal, $9.99 a month. But 50-cent movie nights, I mean, when they were 7, you could rent them for 7 nights. We would go in there and, as a preteen or young teen or whatever, we would go in there and rent. We didn't see a lot of new releases. So we would go in and rent 5 or, 7 of the 50-cent rentals and have them for a week. And that's what we did throughout the week. Especially in the summer, that was great because we'd have sleepovers and everything. And we'd just have movie night. So. And
I remember part of the rewards program was you got we got free movies from the family section. So if you had children. Yeah. You didn't have, I think you got for every new release, you got one free on the floor. I think that's how that worked.
Yes.
If you're a former Blockbuster video employee like me, let me know in the comments below if I'm getting that right or not. It's been so long, as you guys know. So for me, I have a lot of fond memories, as you know. I've told you.
You talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But something that we were just discussing, what is some of the bad memories or some of the least things you liked least about working there?
The things I liked the least, man,
because he always tells me how much he loved working there, and he worked there forever, so he has a lot of good memories. But I know, especially in retail, you have some not so great ones too.
Yeah, so. It's so crazy because for me, I've worked a lot of jobs. Yep. You know this. I've worked at UPS, FedEx. Yeah. I've worked at tons of retail. I worked at Toys R Us too. I helped close the Toys R Us down. But it's crazy because I've always talked about Blockbuster to her and to people that know me. Know I was the Blockbuster video guy, especially when I lived in Greenfield, Indiana, and was one of the last stores I worked at. It's so hard to say anything bad about working at Blockbuster because it was like a family, you know, every store I worked at, we kind of felt like family. So, but I would probably have to say some of the least things was, of course, theft, right? Like dealing with people that steal.
And I don't know if that happened at every Blockbuster, but I mean, I'm sure it did to a degree. But
yeah, we had
where your Blockbuster was located was not so great.
The one in the east side of Indy. Yeah. So the first Blockbuster I ever worked at was on Washington Street in Sherman Commons in Indianapolis, on the east side of Indy. That's actually where I grew up.
It's actually where I grew up too.
We're from that side of town.
We didn't know each other at that
point. Yeah. But so I was already working in a really bad neighborhood anyway, and we always had, people try to steal from us. And like there was one guy. Okay, this is a story. You guys are here for stories, so here we go. So we had a guy come in. It was middle of July. Now, as well as I know that in Indiana, as well as I know that in Indiana, July can kind of hot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
especially years ago.
Yeah. So we had a guy come in. This guy probably, I would say, was one of the worst thieves I've ever had.
Okay. Because
he was so obviously trying to steal. It was just very, very bad. So I opened the store one day, and typically when you open a store in retail, you have to you work by yourself, usually during the day, because they don't really consider daytime as...
That depends on the store.
That depends on where you're at.
That was not the rule any retail I worked.
But for me, it was really weird because I worked by myself during the day, so like I would open the store. I think we opened at like 10, and we were open from 10 a.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
We were open till midnight then, and once the crime started getting worse, we were like, we're going to close like 10 or 11. Yeah. But anyway, so there was a guy came in, and I opened by myself, right? Mm-hmm. And usually what we would do during the day is we do price changes, and we would do... the new release wall, which is something we had to do on Monday. On Monday, because new releases came out Tuesday. Every Tuesday we had new releases, and so we'd have to do the new release wall, move everything, and make spots for all the new movies. So I was up front.
I'm sorry. When did you check in all the movies that were dropped off overnight? Was that?
That was part of my opening stuff. Like I had to check in stuff because a lot of people don't realize this, but if you ever worked retail, if you've never worked retail, usually you show up about an hour and a half to up to 2 hours before the store opens to do your opening duties, like counting the registers, checking the safe, changing the tape. Yeah, that was back before we had digital security. I had to literally change a VHS tape for security. I had to. Crazy. Yeah, I really had to. It was really weird. Some really real times. But we had to, do all that stuff. Now, also keep in mind, I haven't said this on here yet, but when I started working at Blockbuster, it was when we were converting from VHS to DVD. So, not only did I have to check in movies, I had to rewind them too. Yeah, we charged a rewind fee, kids. They charged a rewind fee.
Rewind, please be kind, or however.
Be kind, rewind.
There we go.
That's what it is.
Not all people adhere to that.
And it's funny because we charged a rewind fee. I'll tell you a story about that here in a second. But anyway, so this guy came in. And he's an older guy, and I had nobody else in the store. So it was literally just me, and it was probably like 10:30. So this guy comes in. Remember how I said it was middle of July, right? Yeah. He is wearing a winter coat.
Because that's not obvious at all.
He had on like, those like real big puffy like sports team jackets, like the Bulls and the Pacers and stuff, the Colts.
Yeah, I can't remember what
he had one of those on, and he came in, and like me. Sometimes I got too busy and just didn't like really pay attention to what people had on, but like that was one of those things where I was like, I did like a double take.
Yeah, because it stood out.
And the thing is, like, so Blockbuster had this really interesting entrance. Like some of them did, most of them did, where you go in one side and in order to get out of the store, remember you had to go all the way around to leave. They did that so that way it was easier to catch people from stealing. So this guy comes in and we had a little bell that went off. I said, "Hey, welcome to Blockbuster," and then I looked at him. He went straight to our PRP, which is our previously rented product. That's why it's called PRP. So it was product that we had rented out that we needed to cut down inventory on the for rentals. So we converted them into sellable product. Okay, so there was basically movies that had been rented we sold. So he does a beeline for our pre-owned merchandise, and this guy, I am not even joking, y'all. He had his coat open. He had shorts on, and he had one of these big. I know you're looking at me like kind of how I looked at him, and he opened his coat, and not even kidding, like shamelessly was just like, And I stood there and I just looked at him and I'm just like, and he's doing it. And he's doing it. He's just stuffing his, opening his jacket, stuffing it. And then he zips it. And it's like, he wasn't even like inconspicuous about zipping it. Because, those coats have a real big zipper.
Yeah,
so he just went, and I was like, sounded kind of like an elephant, but like.
Did security catch any of that? Like the.
Oh, the footage, it got all of it. But I was there. I literally was watching this man do this, and he looked around. He even like kind of made eye contact with me at one point, and it was like, "Do you not see that I'm a Blockbuster video employee? Like I'm literally behind the counter working. Like, do you think I'm just here cosplaying? You know what I mean?" So then he walks around, pretends like he's looking for movies to rent, and it's like, and I'm like, I think I was like messaging a coworker, and.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was messaging a coworker, and I was like, there is this dude in our store right now who is just blatantly stealing, and like it's pretty bad. So then he comes up, has some movies to rent. He gives me his Blockbuster card, which has all of his information on it, his address, phone number, his name. Now, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a big brain move because he had a rated R video he was trying to rent. So I was like, hey, can I see your ID? Because you have to understand, like, back then, you could put your name on someone's Blockbuster account and you could rent under their name.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So I looked up his account, didn't have any names on it, but I wanted to make sure this was him.
Yeah.
So that way when I called him out on stealing, I could verify, and so I could call the police if I need to. If he decided to leave, because we can't really call the cops on a thief until they've actually committed the crime.
Yeah.
And even though he put all these movies in his jacket, that doesn't mean he's committed a crime. He hasn't actually left with the product. You have to actually leave with the product to commit the crime, to commit shoplifting. So then, all he comes up. Loopholes. It's weird. Training videos. Oh my, we'll talk about training videos in a future video. The training videos were so damn funny.
Retail training videos.
So anyway, they were so corny.
Oh my gosh,
they were so corny as hell. So anyway, the guy comes up and he's got like 3 videos. One's rated R. I said, "Oh, hey, I need to see your suggestion Blockbuster card." Scanned it, and I said, "Hey, I need to see your ID because this is a rated R movie." And the guy goes, "Well, can't you tell that I'm over the age of 18, I'm like, well, I understand that, but, we get regulated by the MPAA. We don't, by the way. But, like, I made up some bullshit about it. I was like, we get regulated by the MPA, which is the Motion Picture Association of America. And so I have to know if you're 18. And he goes, okay, that's BS. And so he gives me his ID, and it's the guy. And I was like, okay. So then all of his information matches. It was one of those rare instances where someone's license is like the address is exactly right. Yeah. I said, oh, okay. So I said, thanks for giving me your ID. So then I'm checking out his movie. And I said, oh, by the way, I saw you taking a look at some product over in our pre-owned section. Did you want to, I can go ahead and take those movies too. And, if you want to purchase, since you want to purchase them. He goes, what are you talking about, man? I don't have no, what movies? I didn't grab any movies. I said, oh, you mean the movies that are, like, obviously, like... Because he had it so stuffed, dude, that, it, like, you could see the square shape, the almost rectangular shape of the movie in his coat. And he had a puffy coat. So he had, like, probably... I think the man had at least...
Like 10
5 or 6 movies on him. Man. And so he kept insisting that he had no movies. And I said, okay, well, just so you know, this thing over here is a detector... And if you, by chance, I'll rent these out to you if you want to pay for them. I said, but if by some chance you do walk through this detector, I'm going to have you come back through. And, we got to make sure that you don't have it. So I rented the movies to him. He went through and still insisting that he had not stolen anything. The man made eye contact with me. He saw me watch him stealing. I mean, he literally was like... Like, bro.
Either stupid or just doesn't care. Like, obviously stupid because he tried to lie his way out of it.
Yeah, so then he wasn't like an old, like, I say older.
I was going to ask about that.
So back then, I was probably like 20, 21. Yeah. So he probably was around.
Like our age
now. Like, like 40-ish.
Give or take.
This wasn't like some 80-year-old guy that had dementia. I just saying, like, not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, this is not elderly, some dude
older than you were at the time.
This wasn't some guy who lost his way and couldn't find it, somebody's grandfather. It's not like that. This was a guy who knew better, okay? So he Goes through, it goes off. And I said, let me check to make sure there's no sensors in your movies. And, like, I knew the guy stole from me.
Yeah.
And he's acting like I'm playing along. And I was like, well, let me make sure. I said, I need you to step back, And he goes, why do you need me to step back? Like, I paid for them. I didn't steal anything. And I said, well, I want to make sure there's no sensors in your movies. There wasn't. I knew there wasn't, right? So then I said one more time to him, I said, just so you know, if you walk out the door with the movies you have, and this is when I finally, stopped playing his game. I said, if you walk out the door with the movies that you have, I am going to have to call the police. I don't want to call the police on you. I said, I don't want you to get in trouble. So I'm going to give you this opportunity. Because my thing is...
way nicer than what a lot of people
there are
do.
Like you and I watch videos of people doing content. We just talked about this.
Oh my gosh,
of people making content. And I know a lot of you fellow content creators, you guys try to do nice things for people. And you go into stores and you buy people things for Christmas. And the shops kick you out. And I think that's kind of stupid. That's a whole different discussion. But I don't... I not only was I a retail manager for a long time, but I've been a customer, and I see how some places treat people, and I always try to treat people with respect and a little bit of dignity. Even though this guy had neither of those, I still wanted to give him the opportunity to not go to jail, because no one wants to do that, right? So I said, hey man, if you give me the movies you have under your jacket, I'll go ahead and just give them to me. Just don't come back here anymore. So he gave them to me.
Nice.
He opened it and he's like, man, how did you know that I stole from you? And I said, dude, come on. I said, you made eye contact with me. I didn't expect him to do that.
Yeah.
Because I looked at him really serious, like, I had my hand on the phone thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna call the cops. I don't want you to go to jail. I'm trying. I said, trust me, if this was, because I had a store manager named Carrie. We talked about him.
Oh, yeah.
And he was not the nicest person like that. Like, he probably would have called the police and said, "The hell with you! You're going to jail."
He wanted you to run after people.
We'll get to that later. But so so I said, "Look, man, I'm probably one of the nicest managers here at the store, so I don't want you to go to jail. So just give me what you got. We'll call it even. You can still rent these movies," since he did pay for them, which was really weird. He paid for those 3, but and we'll call it a day. So he's like, all right, man. So he gave me the movies, and he's asked me that, and I'm like, dude, I saw you, bro. You made eye contact with me twice. And he's like, well, thanks for being cool, man. I said, just don't steal from people. Just don't. And I said, and besides, I said, you had a winter coat on. I called him out. I was like, you had a winter coat on. I said, you were a dead giveaway. Mm-hmm. So that was just one instance of theft was a thing that I hated, because among other things, there's other stories we'll get into in future episodes. Do you have any other questions for me about my time as a manager? Was there something else you wanted was there a positive thing you wanted to ask me about?
I've heard multiple stories from you. I'm just trying to think, I don't remember you telling me that one. So that was
I tell you, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've had a lot of jobs.
How long did you work at Blockbuster?
I worked there almost 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
so
I worked there.
You have a lot.
I worked there almost 10 years, and for me, I've had several jobs, and even being a content creator here on YouTube, I don't consider this a job.
No.
But even
it's fun.
I have fun. Don't get me wrong, I have fun making these videos, and I definitely have fun making this kind of video about going back and taking a dive back. Yeah. But I will say, I worked a lot of jobs, and Blockbuster Video was my favorite job I've ever worked at. I've told you that several times before. It was just the best. There was something about, everybody came in movies. Movies is such a good thing to talk about.
It really is.
And, there's so much stuff going on in the world right now. I think Blockbuster existed at the perfect time, and it kind of faded away at a good time. But there's part of me that wishes it was still around, because there's a lot of bad. There's one left. I hope to go to the one in Bend, Oregon someday. Because that would be such a trip to be back in the store like that again.
Yeah.
But I think what was great about Blockbuster was it was like a safe haven, kind of go in. Everything that was going on in the outside world, all the politics and all the bad stuff, that wasn't there. It just,
back then it wasn't.
It was different.
You didn't talk about politics.
It was a different
and everything either.
Yeah,
but this was a way to just leave all of that at the door and
and I can't recall ever talking about that kind of stuff I know it's very big now, but I kind of wish Blockbuster was around, because I think it's still a great way for people to come in and just kind of be like Switzerland. It's kind of like Switzerland in a way. You go in and, you could just talk to anybody, and I miss it. I also miss, what, oddly enough, the notoriety that came with it, because especially when I lived in Greenfield is, it's not a very small town. It's
a small town.
It's a smallish town that's just east of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And I worked at the only Blockbuster. That was literally the only video store in town.
Because it's a small town.
And I was the Blockbuster guy. Yeah. I'd go to Walmart. Oh, hey, you're the Blockbuster guy. Like, I'd be in the electronics section. And they'd say, oh, it's the Blockbuster guy. What do you think about this movie? And I'm like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
But that was cool to have that kind of notoriety working in a small town video store,
So I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a shorter question. I don't know. Do you have, and again, working there for like 10 years, this may or may not, you might think of something off the top of your head.
Uh-huh.
Was there a particular movie, because you know how you had to show movies in the store, to try to get people to rent them or to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a particular movie that you absolutely hated having to play? Because, they would play over and over again for the most part.
I already know. So I might alienate some of my fan base.
Uh-oh.
I hated Twilight. That's like one of her favorite movies.
How are we married?
No, so I did work at Blockbuster when Twilight came out.
No, I know a lot of people didn't like it.
This was actually one of the first movies.
See, I would have loved
that we did a midnight release to buy.
I miss midnight
at
releases.
A Blockbuster video.
I miss it.
I mean, we didn't even do like video game midnight releases for very
it's
rarely.
A video store.
But okay, there's video games. Okay,
I know.
Anyway, but
That's
yeah,
that
was one that I hated having to hear it, because like it got really old. Like it's not like a horrible movie.
It's a bad movie.
But
I love Twilight.
When you have to hear it. Now I will stem off of that. It did make trying to enjoy newer movies hard, because think about it. So you listen to the radio. Some of you listen to the radio in your car, you start to dig a song, but then when that song gets overplayed, so that kind of happened at Blockbuster too, because there were sometimes we were required to put certain movies and show them in the store.
Yeah.
So when after a week of like watching Titanic, it gets old, man. Like you put that in, or
that is not a movie I could watch over and over again.
And then by the time like you start quoting it and you don't realize you're quoting it, you're quoting it because you don't like it, not because you enjoy the movie, because you just they're at this scene now, and it gets really.
Oh, I'm sure.
We didn't show Titanic, but I'm just using that because it's got like nude scene in it. But like I did like the fact that there were times when I could put movies in that I wanted to watch.
So, okay, what was your favorite movie that you were allowed to pick?
My favorite movie that I got to put in was, I always did like classic kids movies. So I would do like The Never-Ending Story.
That's sweet.
Some of the Ninja Turtles.
I've never seen that.
We had to... Oh, man. We gotta change that. But
I wasn't a movie watcher that much.
I would do like The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Never seen that one
things
either.
like that. Oh my god. But it's kind of stuff that I knew I would enjoy and I wouldn't get tired of hearing all day long.
Yeah.
But the cool part is like I would also go and change the disc too, and once that movie was done, I wouldn't play this. I could not play the same movie over again. But yeah, that was kind of cool.
So was it easier moving from VHS to DVD in that?
Oh my god, yeah.
I bet it was.
Yeah, man, that was something.
And just change it there.
We'll do a bigger episode on this one. Maybe we'll talk about that next week if you want to come back. You can talk about VHSs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started working in like I think it was like 2003. So tail end of like VHSs were still around, and then we're starting to get into DVD. Mm-hmm. Now, I also started in the Blu-ray era too, so we had to think like I did VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. Yeah, dude, yeah, that's almost 10 years, man. You gotta think about that period.
Depends on when in that 10 years.
Of course.
So
yeah, so the VHSs, those were a pain because they were so, VHSs are huge, right?
It took forever to rewind.
It took forever to rewind.
Did you have how many rewinders did you have? Because back then you had a separate rewinding.
I'm going to ask you, how many do you think we had?
Probably one, knowing your store.
We didn't have one.
Oh, good.
How many did we had?
You didn't have any, did you?
How many do you think we had? We had one, but how many do you think we had more than that?
Oh, okay. I would say 3.
We only had 2.
You would expect, though, a store like that to have at least 3 to 5.
2! We had...
But I was like, knowing your store, I'm surprised you had 2, so...
We only had 2 VHS rewinders.
Now, was that the same when you worked at the one in Greenfield?
Well, yeah. Well,
was this
we were past the VHSs then.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know if that was just like a per store
That was like
thing,
7 years later.
If it was like nationwide.
No, that was. I didn't work at Blockbuster. I didn't work at the Greenfield store until. So I worked on the east side of Indy, from 03 to like 09ish. So about.
Oh my god.
6 years in Indy. I worked at that store in Washington Street. I know I'm old, fucking old. But then I went to Greenfield and we didn't have VHS. We didn't deal with VHS. I was so glad because I only had to deal with VHS for about a year, and then they finally were like, "Bye bye."
Oh, well, that's not bad.
We did a whole sell-through special. Where we had like
that's not bad. You had me thinking that like you were working, doing VHSs for like.
I did not do VHSs for years. No, But
I was wondering. I was like,
it did suck.
They still had them.
It did suck because VHSs are big. And what also even sucked more is when we had to rent VHSs and DVD. So when you go to the collection box to get all the returned stuff, you had to scoop out big giant boxes and then little thin ones. And there were times when I like forgot what I had to do, and I tried putting like a DVD into the rewinder, and I was like, wait, I'm not doing that. Like, that's a lot. Like, that's 2 different forms of media you had to.
Oh no, I know.
You had to make sure.
Just out of habit, you kind of just.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yeah. I'll tell you this story. So we had a customer, older guy. Now he was an older guy. He was like 70, and he was definitely the kind of guy who, I don't get this newfangled DVD technology. Yeah. So then he was really cute.
It's okay because we do that too sometimes.
It was really cute though because
we're at that point.
He told me he dropped off he handed me his DVDs and he goes, my grandkids got me a DVD player. I know where
this is going.
And I think you've heard this story before. And he goes, I wanted to hand these to you and tell you that he goes, I know you guys charge a rewind fee, and I wanted to let you know that these need to be rewound. And I said, that's okay. I think I charged him for a rewind fee. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't charge him a rewind fee. I really didn't. I swear.
God, you mean ass.
No, but I said thank you, and I said you actually don't need to rewind these DVDs. They're he goes, you don't? He goes, I rewound them for you. I'm like, that's cute. You probably sat there and pushed the button and like rewound it. Like, you don't have to do that.
Tried to rewind.
That was cute though. That was cute. That's a cute
sweet. Story.
But yeah, he was a sweet guy. He was an older guy. He was a sweet guy. And then I'll have to tell you guys a story about this guy we called Coach, and
you don't get sweet old guys like that much anymore. I miss it.
He tipped us every time he came in. We'll have to talk about that next week. I have to remind you. He tipped us. He was a coach, and he gave me like $100 one night. He's like, will you walk around the store? This was when I worked at Greenfield. So he goes, will you walk around the store and be like my personal kind of like video rental guide and let me know what's good and what's not? And I was like, yeah. And he didn't tell me he was giving me a tip, so we weren't really supposed to take
right,
them.
That's what I was like.
But you have to forget, we were a family, so we didn't care. Sorry, Blockbuster, we were making tips on the side. But
just at Greenfield.
But this guy, he took me around the store, and I said, well, what kind of movies do you like? And he was the former, I think he was like one of the former Greenfield High School basketball coaches or a coach from somewhere, and
that's so
sweet guy, real tall guy. And he had a crush on one of our female employees. It was kind of cute, And it wasn't creepy dude cute. It was like, he was always calling her sweetheart, something, nothing wrong or anything. And but yeah, he gave me like $100 tip. He goes, well, thanks for hanging out with me and guiding me through some movies. And he had me change $100. Then he goes, and this is for you. And I was like, I can't take that.
That's
and he goes,
so sweet. So, I miss people like that.
It's kind of why I miss retail. I don't miss, not because people gave me money, but the thing I miss about retail that a lot of people don't understand is People say retail, they like, why would you like retail?
I loved retail.
Yeah, I
loved working retail.
I loved retail.
It was hard.
I don't always like
on your feet and back.
I didn't always like some of the places I worked, but that's what makes Blockbuster so unique. Is that we were like a family. We decorated our store together for Halloween and Christmas. We did gift exchanges. We did the white elephant thing.
That's fun.
We did inventory. I'll talk about inventories too. Inventories is a whole other thing where you have to stay the night at a Blockbuster. I have spent the night at Blockbuster before, I can say that. And that was fun because we could play whatever music we wanted, no customers, and just kind of wore whatever we wanted. We didn't have to wear uniforms or anything like that. But we'll talk about that. But that's all the time I got in this episode of Tales from the Block. Let me know your thoughts on Blockbuster Video, your time there. Were you a former employee like me? What were some things you liked about going to Blockbuster Video? What are some things you didn't like? Probably late fees, right? I know the late fees kind of suck. Talk about that, by the way. But let me know in the comment section below what you liked, didn't like about Blockbuster, or video movie rental chains in general. Like, you can tell me your thoughts on Hollywood Video, Video Update,
there was West Coast Video,
Movie Gallery. Yeah, there was like West Coast Video. There was. We had Hollywood. Like Red Giraffe Video. Remember Red Giraffe? That's an indie. Yeah. That was an indie, local indie. There was one called D Rose Video on the south side of Indy.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts on going to a store and renting videos and video games. You can rent video games too. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode. And please be sure to subscribe to the domain. We do all sorts of things on here. We talk about Blockbuster movie rentals. We talk about video games. We do unboxings. We've done thrifting, which we're going to get back to doing.
Yeah,
we do our mom and pop stops where we feature certain things, feature local chains and things like that and more. But thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
See ya.